today we're going to be tying this Flashback Scud. I'm going to be starting off with the size 14 hook, which I've already added some lead-free wire, and I'm using some Danville's pink 6/0 thread. I start my thread behind the hook, clip off the end here, and then work my way back over the wire to really bind it down. I've also added a little bit of super glue to the lead wire wraps just to keep that in place. Now I've stacked a bunch of elk hair here. I'm just going to take a couple of loose wraps here and now start tightening it up. This is kind of used as the head of our Scud. I'm going to take a few thread wraps in front of the elk hair to help post it up. And then finish binding that down. I'm going to take some scissors and just trim off that extra elk hair. I'm going to finish binding down these ends here with the thread and then work my way to the back of the hook. First thing we're going to add in is some silver wire, which is going to be used as the ribbing to help segment the Scud. We're going to take that wire and wrap it down past deep into the bend of the hook. Next thing I'm going to add here is some saltwater pearl Flashabou. You can add this in right now, or you can add it in after we add in the thin skin. I like to add the pearl Flashabou in at this point so it ends up on top of this thin skin, the finished fly, and makes a really shiny back to it. So here I have some thin skin I cut into a thin strip here, and I kind of tapered it down at the end where I'm going to bind it in. Again, you could always alternate and put the pearl Flashabou so it ends up on the inside of the thin skin, but I just found that it doesn't look as shiny. Now I'm adding on some rainbow Scud dubbing. In a pretty thick noodle here. The Scud dubbing works really well for these Scud patterns. So I'm going to start at the back and begin working my way forward. Again, building up a taper as I go along, so it's more dubbing towards the middle. Here I'm actually going to add a hot spot in the middle of our rainbow Scud with some bright pink dubbing. So I'm just adding a little section right here of bright pink. Now I can go ahead and finish off with some rainbow dubbing. And go ahead and take that back up to the base of our elk hair. Looks like I'm going to need just a little bit more here. You really want that dubbing on pretty thick, and it looks really nice when you do. So now that I have that on, I'm going to use my thin skin and Flashabou here on the back. I'll bring that over and then just take a couple reps to bind that down right behind the L-care. The thin skin is a little bit stretchy, so if you pull on it, it really conforms to your dubbing and makes a nice back. But as in this case, you don't want to pull too hard or it'll break. I got lucky here that it didn't pull back. But what I usually like to do is then just pull it back the other way to really get that bound down. Then I can just trim off the excess. Now I'm going to take a hold of my silver wire and start making wraps, even wraps, to form the segmented body. I'm going to go ahead and bind down that silver wire here with my thread. And helicopter to break it off. I'm going to pull back that L-care, exposing the eye of the hook, take a few reps here. I'm going to go ahead and whip finish. And we're almost done. You can add a little bit of head cement. And then here I just have a little piece of Velcro. I'm just going to work it back and forth on the underdubbing to really pull out some of those longer fibers here. Which will simulate the legs of the Scud. I really do like that spotted thin skin as the back of the Scud. It just gives it a really nice bugginess to it fly. After I've pulled out those fibers, then I can just take my scissors and trim those off even with the hook. And as you can see there on that back, that saltwater Flashabou really gives it a nice shiny sparkle. Thanks for watching.